I've been absolutely flooded with questions about Canon's new Baby SL1 camera compared to the Canon T5i, which is really just a repackaging of the T4i. The T5i and the T4i are pretty much identical, and for the rest of this video, when I say T5i, I really mean the T5i and the T4i. The SL1, this is it, teeny tiny. I have pretty big hands, I guess, but you can see compared to my hand how small this camera is. If you were to take the lens off and to put a smaller lens on it, you could probably fit it into a side cargo pocket on your pants. Easily would fit into a purse. Very small, very light. At the time of this recording, it is the smallest DSLR camera in the world. The price right now for the SL1 is about $650, $700, and that is very comparable to the T5i, which runs $750 to $850 depending on where you get it. Prices are going to change obviously over time. You can see that the T5i is a little bit bigger, but the questions I'm getting are, what are the main functional differences between the two cameras? And if you're a pure beginner, which camera would be better? It's a great question. First, let's talk about the major differences. Functionally speaking, they both have an 18 megapixel sensor, they both have the same processor, and the quality of images that I'm seeing coming out of the SL1, almost identical to the T5i. So the actual images, pretty much the same. The main differences you're going to notice right off the bat is that the T5i has this awesome articulating monitor. The SL1 does not have an articulating monitor. The cool thing about both of them is that they are touchscreen. So even the SL1 does have the touchscreen monitor, which is very, very nice. One of the major functional differences between the two cameras is that the SL1 only has one cross-type focus point. The T5i has 9 cross-type focus points, which means you're going to get better responsiveness, better accuracy when you're using your outer 8 focusing points. Another huge difference between the two cameras is that the T5i has a built-in flash transmitter. The SL1 does have a flash, but it is not able to trigger wireless speedlights on its own. You'd have to either put a Pocket Wizard or an STE2 or STE3 transmitter on it. The value of that flash transmitter is at least $100, maybe $150. And so when you look at the differences between the monitor, the focusing squares, things of that nature, we're already seeing that the T5i is worth the extra investment. Now there's some other smaller things I need to point out. For example, the T5i has direct buttons for certain features, whereas the SL1 is very limited in its button control. The SL1 also has a very neat little tilt-shift video feature not found on the T5i. Frames per second on the T5i is 5 frames per second, whereas you get 4 frames per second with the SL1. Neither one of them are really made for sports shooting, but they're pretty capable in the hands of somebody who knows what they're doing. I've been shooting with the SL1 for about 6 weeks, and for the most part I can say it is a great little camera. The only time I had a real problem with it was when I was shooting up on Haleakala, shooting into the clouds with heavy backlight, and it did have some problems focusing, but 80, 85, 90% of the time I had no problems with the camera, and it handled almost exactly the same as a T5i would. So in conclusion, which camera would I recommend to what kind of shooter? If you are a brand new photographer and you can make that extra $100 or $150 happen, I would definitely say go with the T4i or the T5i. You're going to appreciate those 9 cross-type focusing squares. You're going to appreciate the articulating monitor. And if you do upgrade, and start doing off flash photography, that wireless transmitter is going to make a huge difference. If you're a professional or a semi-professional looking for an excellent backup with minimal space, the SL1 is going to be the camera you're going to want. You will not even notice it in your camera bag. Very lightweight, very small. Some people have been asking me, how does it perform with bigger lenses? It's great. I put a 100 to 400 push-pull zoom on there with a 2x extender, and I got some fantastic shots of the supermoon a couple weeks ago. Again, it's for the most part if you know what you're doing, it is going to be an awesome little camera for you. Whichever camera you decide to go with, you might be interested to know that I have excellent crash course tutorial training videos for each of them. The SL1, the T5i, and the T4i crash courses can be ordered as downloads or DVDs, and they run about 3.5 to 4 hours. They will save you about 2 or 3 years of shooting experience if you were to try to learn them on your own, and you can order them from the following link.